Sony A7000 is just around the corner. It will be announced by Halloween the latest, and if you're lucky, probably in 2 weeks. I have been reading Sony Alpha Rumors every day to see the rumors. Many of the specs looks really interesting, and I'm getting my fix by watching YouTube and get prediction videos from Sony shooters like David, Danny, or Joshua. Myself, I'm not a professional photographer, as you can see from this lighting condition, and I'm just a regular guy, a previous user of Sony A6000 and A6300. I have never owned A6500. I got my A7 III, and then I sold all my previous APS-C bodies, but I still kept the lens. So if they're making a really good A7000, I might consider getting one as my B camera. I don't know. But I just want to share my thoughts to give some predictions, because that's the only thing I know I make the prediction right. So in terms of design, I believe they will make a whole new body. So if you call A6000 to be the first generation of the recent APS-C body, and A6300, A6500 to be the second generation, I believe they will make the third generation of a whole new body design with one primary purpose. The purpose is to have the Z-type battery. I'm very sure they will have the Z-type battery. And the motivation is not just because it's very well received publicly. It's a manufacturer's best interest to produce as little lineup of batteries as possible. So when Sony had the mediocre FW50 battery back in 2010, they have been using the same battery for their APS-C lens, APS-C bodies, and their full-frame bodies all the way until A6500, which is 6 years. And then last year, starting A7 and starting A9, they have used the Z-type battery. It has been very well received, and we have never seen a newer body with the older battery yet. So the NPFW battery, you can buy it a good cheap one from third party already. So Sony is not making too much money from selling these old technology batteries, and if you want to buy that type of battery, you can still only buy a good one from Sony. All the third party ones are not that great from the reviews I have seen. So I think even for them to make more money from producing battery as an accessory, they will be gradually phasing out the production of the NPFW50 battery and to get the Z-type battery. And because a bigger battery to have a bigger body, there will be another design change, which is a fully articulating touchscreen. I believe they will be fully articulating a better touch control and no dim of screen when shooting 4K. More about 4K later. So honestly, if they can have a bigger battery and a fully articulating screen, it will already be the best vlog camera of the year, because those are the two features its direct competitor Fujifilm X-T3 are not having. So other things, I think it will have a USB Type-C connector for sure, and I don't think it will keep both USB Type-C and a micro USB connector. I think they will just use one USB Type-C connector, because the body should still be smaller than A7 III. And I hope they can use that space to add a headphone jack. For me, I don't care about headphone jack, but I think headphone jack is ranked as either third or the fourth most complained missing feature on A6300 and A6500. So a headphone jack will making many people very happy. And with a bigger body, I hope there will be dual cards. And if they do, I hope they can use both UHS 2 cards, like what Fujifilm is doing with the X-T3. It doesn't make too much sense to have one UHS 1 and one UHS 2 card. It's just something that feels like holding back and not. But at the end of the world, if they are really using one SD card slot, I do hope they use UHS 2 card. Interestingly, for the number of SD card slot, people either really care about it or they don't care about it at all. It is similar like for the phones, single SIM card smartphone or dual SIM card smartphone, like the hype for the dual SIM card iPhone. or people been using one SIM card and they're fine with that. They claim they never had a SIM card, they never had a SD card failure. But especially Tony Northrup had claimed that he has seen many SD card failure, but also because he has been shooting professionally for a very long time. So for people shooting professionally, especially weddings, I think dual SD card is a must. And for amateur or hobbyist, it might not be that feature you hope much. In terms of video feature, I want to talk about 4K 30p first. Why? Because there has been always a crop for 4030p compared to 4024p. If you look at A6300 and A73, they all have this problem. I saw some reviews saying that for A6500, when you're shooting 4030p, there's no crop, but I don't know that for sure. I hope this is 2018. Sony, please, if you do 4030p, no crop. And another thing I'm looking forward is a good 1080p quality. So Sony's 4K quality has always been good, and their 1080p quality is just pathetic. I hope this year they are making like good 1080p quality, no matter it's 24p, 30p, 60p, or even 120p slow motion. All good, crisp 1080p quality, that's what I'm looking for. And for 4K 60p, this is probably the #1 most anticipated feature. And if they don't have that, they will not be a direct competitor for the Fujifilm X-T3. I believe it's 100% that they will have 4K 60p. The problem is how much crop will be that. So I did some math. I believe it will be a 1.16 crop. Why? Because if you look at what happens to A7R3, when A7R3 was shooting in APS-C mode, it's actually doing an oversampling from 5K to 4K. So using 15 megapixels of the sensor and oversample it to 4K, that might be happening for the 4K 60p. Otherwise, it's just too much data to handle that it will overheat. Other features like HLG gamma, I believe it will have it. Sony is not holding back for video features. If you look at A7S2 and all the features it has on A7S2, they are putting it in the A6300, which was announced 6 months later. So it will have HLG gamma for sure. Something I'm looking forward is a even higher bitrate, like 200 megabits per second or even higher. And will it have 10-bit 420 internal? I don't know. Sony hasn't been putting that feature in any of its consumer camera yet. If they do, that would be a very good thing and a direct competitor for X-T3, but I don't know about that. In terms of video, in terms of photo, I believe it will have A9 level autofocus and eye autofocus, because it will be essentially a mini A9. What about frame rate? So all the wild guesses are 20 frames per second. If we look at A6300 and A6500, it has 11 frames per second and 8 frames per second with live view. Many users really care about the FPS for the live view, so I hope they could increase the live view to be 11 frames per second, and if they can have a mechanical shutter of 12 to 15 FPS, many people will be already happy enough. And if you do 20 FPS, I believe it's only achievable through electronic shutter, which if they can have A9 level of 20 FPS, good quality electronic shutter, many people will be happy. And EVF, will it have the same EVF as A6300, A6500, A73, which is 2.4 megapixels, or they jump up to be A7R3 level to be 3.7 megapixels? I think they will have a higher pixel electronic viewfinder, because they don't want to hold back, they don't want to they want to be a direct competitor for X-T3, so they will have a higher megapixel count of electronic viewfinder with probably up to a 120 FPS refresh rate, just as we have seen on A6300 and A6500. Other feature, in terms of megapixel count, I think it was still keeping the 24 megapixels. One particular reason I'm hoping is they have been really good at their 6K oversample to 4K algorithm with their 24 megapixels sensors, no matter it's full frame or APS-C. If they change the megapixel count, they will do more optimization in terms of the algorithm. And for many users, there's option A, which is keep the same megapixel count but have 0.5 or up to 1 stop better in low light performance, or to have a higher megapixel count, for example 30 megapixels, but have same performance in terms of low light. Which one will you choose? For me particularly, I want the former, 24 megapixels but with better low light performance, but I think many users will be interested in the latter. I don't know, like, this is my personal preference. Other things I'm looking at: first, a built-in intervalometer. Please Sony, this is just a feature with more algorithms in your menu. It's not costing you too much, and having that is so convenient. The second I'm hoping is a better weather seeding. But no matter how good they claim, we can only know it from like real life review from YouTubers. Something I'm also hoping is a better big aperture standard zoom lens. I have been having the the Zeiss 16-70 f4 OIS lens for the past 3 years. It has served me really well. I've seen some reviews that you might get a good copy that's really sharp or a bad copy that's not really sharp. I'm lucky I got a copy that's really sharp. But this lens has been old. It's almost 5 years old since it's first introduced in the fall of 2013, and I think they will make a good quality standard zoom APS-C lens. If they can make the direct exact copy of what Fujifilm has offered, which is 16-55 f2.8 weather resistant, no OIS lens with $999 American dollar to start, many people will already be happy with. And if they can make a Fuji version of the 18-55 f2.8 to f4 with OIS but no weather resistant for $599, people will still be happy. I'm not sure what they will pull off, but I hope they can make the 16-55 f2.8 weather resistant, no OIS lens for $999 or maybe even $899 if I'm asking too much. Yeah, I'm probably asking too much. $999 would be good for many people. Anyway, this is just my prediction. And again, I'm not a professional photographer or a YouTuber. I'm just a random guy who has been a Sony user and loves Sony, and hope there will be good improvements from their APS-C bodies. And I took this with one shot. I'm not really good at editing video. I'm still working on it. So if you like the video, thumb up. If you don't like it, be honest. And if you have any thoughts on your own, you can leave a comment. I will try to reply. Thank you. Have a good day. Bye bye.